And this regular season promises to have some of the most exciting and epic showdowns that we have ever seen.
Let's start with your number one here. Week 3, Bucs home opener. Aaron Rodgers coming to town. Why is this the best one?
For me, it's about seeing two of the all-time greats.
This year has it all. There are so many great battles to choose from. So without further ado, we present the 10 best quarterback matchups for the 2022 NFL season that you need to circle on your calendar right now. Honorable mention, Deshaun Watson versus Baker Mayfield. Week 1. The Cleveland Browns put the clamps on the Baker Mayfield era when they traded for Deshaun Watson. The top selection of the 2018 draft remains on the Browns roster, but it's only a matter of time until he gets traded. The Panthers are one of the few possible suitors for Mayfield at this point, so if they make the play for him, Cleveland versus Carolina in Week 1 suddenly becomes can't-miss television. Mayfield getting the chance to score some sweet revenge on the team that gave up on him? That's something that everyone will want to tune into. Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes, Week 4. This is likely the final showdown between the GOAT and the greatest quarterback of the next generation. We've had the fortunes of seeing them square off 5 times up to this point, including the 2018 AFC Championship game and, of course, Super Bowl 55. Thanks to the NFL's 17th game format, the Kansas City Chiefs and Tampa Bay Buccaneers get to lock horns less than 2 years after the last Super Bowl showdown. And it should be a dandy. Though Brady holds the 3-2 edge over Mahomes, we shouldn't ignore the fact that the latter has been lights out against Brady-led teams. It's not his fault that his defense did nothing in the 2018 AFC title game, or that he was running for his life behind a horrible offensive line during that Super Bowl 55 debacle. So does Mahomes move to a 3-3 all-time versus Brady, or does the GOAT clinch a winning record against the game's next great quarterback? Well, we'll find out on October 2nd. Josh Allen versus Aaron Rodgers, Week 8. The first time these two squared off was way back in 2018 when the Bills were in the final stages of a rebuild. Not to mention the Packers were awful in Mike McCarthy's final year at the helm. So there wasn't much to like about their Week 4 2018 showdown, which was a 22-0 victory for the Cheeseheads. But oh, how the times have changed. Allen is now a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the game. Rodgers regained his elite form under Matt LaFleur and is coming off his second straight MVP season. A-Rod is still arguably the best in the game, whereas Allen is trying to make his case as the #1 QB in football right now. Unless they meet in a Super Bowl showdown, this is likely the last Rodgers versus Allen tilt. Both teams have endured aggressive off-seasons, adding more juice to their already strong defenses. Will Rodgers solve the league's top D of 2021? How will Allen get by against the deep Green Bay secondary? We'll have to wait and see, but the bottom line is that this is a quarterback battle for the ages that you cannot afford to miss. Dak Prescott versus Joe Burrow, Week 2. Like the Chiefs-Bucks Week 4 tilt, this game is only possible thanks to the NFL's expansion of the 17th game. When the Dallas Cowboys and Cincinnati Bengals met back in 2020, the QE showdown was Andy Dalton versus Brandon Allen. Hardly thrilling, we know. But the first ever Prescott versus Joe Burrow showdown in Week 2 promises to be way more entertaining. Here you have two of the game's most prolific and accurate quarterbacks who each enjoy an insane wealth of weapons. The Bengals don't really have the guys to cover CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, or Dalton Schultz, while the Cowboys don't have the personnel to shut down Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins. See where we're going with this? Both QBs could very well throw for 400 yards and multiple touchdowns in this one. Expect plenty of fireworks in this can't-miss tilt when two dynamic offenses get to work in Jerry's world. Zach Wilson versus Trevor Lawrence, Week 16. The Week 16 2021 showdown between these two clubs was not so good. Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence combined for 1 touchdown pass as the New York Jets and Jacksonville Jaguars rushing games did most of the work. Lawrence and Wilson, the two top picks of the 2021 draft, had horrible rookie seasons that they're trying to put in the rearview mirror. The Jaguars quickly moved on from the failed Urban Meyer experiment and brought in Super Bowl winning head coach Doug Peterson to replace him. Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, and Brandon Scherff were also added via free agency to fix up Lawrence's supporting cast. The Jets brought in Breece Hall, Laken Tomlinson, and Garrett Wilson to help an offense that already has a few promising pieces in Michael Carter, Corey Davis, and Elijah Moore. So, in short, there aren't any more excuses for Wilson and Lawrence. They now have better sets of weapons and vastly improved offensive lines to help them take off in year 2. We don't expect the Jaguars or Jets to be playoff contenders just yet, but it'll be exciting to see how one or both of these quarterbacks has progressed by the time they meet late in the season. Even if the expectations for the two teams are low this year, you won't want to miss part 2 of Wilson vs. Lawrence. The sequel should be much better than the original. Matt Ryan versus Carson Wentz, Week 8. Do we need to explain much more? The Indianapolis Colts went all in last year for Carson Wentz despite his albatross contract and ugly exit from the Philadelphia Eagles. For the most part, Wentz improved in his reunion with Frank Reich, but a horrific meltdown in a must-win game against the lowly Jaguars in Week 18 was all the Colts needed to decide they had made a mistake. So, the Colts traded Wentz to the Washington Commanders and made a play for 2016 League MVP Matt Ryan, acquiring the Atlanta Falcons legend for the low price of a third-round pick. This is a chance for the Colts to show Wentz that they made the right call by moving on from him and going after Matty Ice. Or maybe Wentz gets some sweet revenge on the franchise that gave up on him after just one 9-8 season. Either way, get your popcorn ready because Revenge Bowl games are always must-watch TV. Justin Herbert versus Tua Tagovailoa, Week 14. Herbert and Tagovailoa actually squared off in Week 10 back in the 2020 season. At the time, however, the Chargers were downright awful, and Tua was in the midst of a roller coaster rookie season. Well, a lot has changed since then. Herbert has established himself as one of the NFL's elite superstar quarterbacks, while Tua, on the other hand, has struggled with consistency and had to hear his name in trade rumors throughout the last year or so. Dolphins fans are sure tired of hearing how they could have had Herbert in 2020 if only they had used the number 5 pick on him and not Tua. Well, here's a prime opportunity for Tua to show Miami that they made the right decision. They hired offensive-minded head coach Mike McDaniel to replace Brian Flores. They brought in Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson Jr., Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, Connor Williams, and Terron Armstead to fix up the offense around Tagovailoa. So even if the whole Miami should have taken Herbert thing doesn't appeal to you, Miami and LA are two exciting up-and-coming teams with playoff expectations. This game could have major postseason implications. So, Herbert versus Tagovailoa Part 2 should excite you anyways. Lamar Jackson versus Russell Wilson, Week 13. This game will feature two of the most insanely athletic dual-threat quarterbacks the game has ever seen. With Wilson now residing in the AFC, this should be just one of the many showdowns against Jackson. These two quarterbacks met back in 2019 when Wilson was still a member of the Seahawks. Jackson rushed for 116 yards and a score in that game, and Baltimore emerged with a 30-16 victory. Well, 3 years later, we get Part 2 of Lamar versus Russ. Wilson joined the Denver Broncos following a blockbuster trade with Seattle Seahawks earlier this offseason. The Broncos are immediate playoff contenders with the future Hall of Famer at the helm. But they are going to have to get past several AFC heavyweights like Baltimore if they want to reach that mountaintop. This showdown is extra enticing because both the Ravens and Broncos boast championship-caliber defenses. Will Jackson and Wilson both go off? Will one of them have a bad day? Will they both struggle? Anything is possible here. Just sit back and enjoy the showdown between two can't-miss human highlight reels who are just as dangerous with their legs as they are with their arms. Tom Brady versus Joe Burrow, Week 15. This is probably the lone showdown we get between the GOAT and the new Joe Cool, so enjoy it while you can. Brady's Buccaneers will host the reigning AFC champions in a late afternoon tilt at Raymond James Stadium in Week 15. To think we'll have Brady, Burrow, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd all suiting up on the offensive side of the ball in the same game is pretty dang wild. Burrow's legend started when he got the Bengals to their first AFC North Division crown in 6 years. Brady could once again remind the football world that he is the ultimate Jedi Master and that he's not letting the new kid on the block show him up on his home turf. Either way, this quarterback battle will be an absolute doozy. Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen, Week 6. How epic has Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen been up to this point? How about so epic to the point where the league basically had to change its postseason overtime rules after the two gunslingers delivered an all-time classic in their latest showdown? Mahomes soundly got the better of Allen's Bills twice in 2020, including the AFC Championship game. Then Buffalo came into KC in Week 5 of the 2021 campaign and throttled the home team by 18 points. Well, Mahomes' magic returned and led KC to a thrilling 42-36 overtime over Buffalo in the divisional round last year, and that immediately went down as one of the all-time greatest games in NFL history. And you can't help but think that if Buffalo had won that coin toss, well, Allen's Bills probably end up on the winning side of that thriller. If there's anything close to the next Brady versus Peyton Manning rivalry, it's Mahomes versus Allen. They have already met in the playoffs twice, and both have cemented their cases as top 5 quarterbacks in the game right now. What more can we say? This is the ultimate must-watch regular season game of 2022. Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, Week 3. Football fans won't have to wait long for Chapter 5 of Brady versus Rodgers. The Bucs, of course, defeated the Packers twice in the 2020 season, including at Lambeau Field in a thrilling NFC Championship game. For a while, it looked like that would be Rodgers' final outing in Green Bay, but number 12 has since committed to finishing his career right where it started. While Brady has nothing left to prove, Rodgers has waited more than a decade now for that elusive second Super Bowl ring. Chances are he'll have to get by the Bucs at some point in order to get back to the big game. While Brady is the consensus GOAT, many view Rodgers as the most talented quarterback ever. This Week 3 tilt could go a long way in determining the seeding and playoff fates of both teams. And if they don't meet in the postseason, this is probably the final installment of Brady versus Rodgers. No more sequels, so enjoy it while you can, because one day you'll be telling your kids and grandkids about this showdown between two of the best to ever play the game. But which quarterback matchup are you the most excited to see during the 2022 NFL season? Join us in the comments section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton, and hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.